Arriving in Chicago, I had several advantages over other people. Number one, that I was young and single. Number two, that I came to an absolutely loving family. And then both my uncles had children my age. The two girls, one was like 6 months older and the other one was maybe a year older. And these two cousins literally included me in everything. They took me to dances and they took me to parties. In those days it was very prominent to have house parties. And with my broken English, they could understand me. So I had that kind of support right then and there. And in those days, you had to learn to speak English. I mean, there were no bilingual classes like they have today. So what happened, I must have been here maybe 4 or 5 weeks. My aunt took me to the Jewish Children's Services, and I was interviewed by a social worker. And for some reason, I don't know what she saw in me, but she recommended a job for me in an office. Compared to all my friends who emigrated, they ended up in factories and other kind of jobs. But anyhow, she put me into a job at the Pioneer Women's Organization, which at that time was a Zionist organization. They had a Chicago office, and there was a very nice lady who was in charge of it, and she was like my mother's age. So she had children my age, so she befriended me. And my job was to print address labels on an addressograph, which is an old machine that has a metal bar that has the address printed on it. So now, why am I telling you all this? Because it gave me an opportunity in no time at all to learn Chicago streets and zip codes immediately. So you could ask me any kind of street address and I could just tell you immediately. So that was a great plus. And then I learned, as my language improved, I learned to talk on the telephone to the members and so forth. Now there was another advantage here. This office was located in a Jewish office building. And adjacent to our offices was the offices of the National Council of Jewish Women. And they had something special. They conducted classes for adults, English classes for adults. And I was able to join them because I just came out of the office and walked in there, so I didn't have to travel at night. Right from work I could go there. And they had a professional educator from the Chicago Board of Education, and this teacher came in and gave us English lessons as a second language. And what was unique about this group, that I was only the very young person, the least educated, because all the people in my group were not only highly educated, but some of them had doctorate degrees. So their intelligence was far, far beyond mine, but they still had to learn the language. So anyhow, I did as the best I could. I learned, and then later on I enlisted in the high school in Chicago, one of the high schools. And they put me in a mixed classes. I did that for 1 semester. I couldn't handle it. It was just too overwhelming for me. First of all, I was extremely mature, and secondly, they put me into English class 1 and history 3 and so forth, and I was working already, so to try to do both, I found it very difficult. But nevertheless, I continued my education, and in about a year or so after, a physician, a Hungarian Jewish physician, got acquainted with me, and he asked if I would become a receptionist in his office. So I liked the opportunity because I like people, and I thought that this is a great improvement. Now, it turned out to be a very long and wonderful friendship because I remained in his employ for 40 years. He was in general practice. I am proud to say that the patients have become my friends, and at the same time we have treated 4 generations, so I learned a lot about families and people. Besides all that, not only did I learn a lot from the doctor, so from a Girl Friday, in those days that was our name, I have become a certified medical assistant. I went through the certification, and I have joined a professional organization where I gained some recognition, and this is how my professional life went. And then I met a Chicago-born Jewish young man. We married and had a son and a daughter, and that education was completed. They married, they have beautiful children, and I am a proud grandmother of 5 girls, and now I have even great-grandchildren.